Welcome to Veterans Council and Veterans podcast. It's called Veteran Suicide, the Low Solution. Today, we have an exciting program. We have an opportunity to sit there and introduce resources for the community. And one of the resources we have is kind of unique because it's not just, it's a resource in Tampa, and it's also a resource in Jacksonville. So we'll get a chance to happily find out what resources out there for veterans, their families, and active duty if they apply when it comes to our community. One of the things I do want to mention is that I want to introduce our tribe first. We always got to introduce our tribe. So one of our tribe members is Jamaica Jackson. Jamaica Jackson is a veteran advocate, and especially women veterans advocate, and she's also the CEO of Reinvent You LLC. And she's also almost like a known quantity when it comes to Jacksonville. So how you doing, Jamaica?
Hello, how are you doing? Good evening, everyone.
And of course, and of course, everybody knows Jean. Jean's like my right-hand person. I really can't do too much about her. So Jean, how you doing, Jean?
Good, good. You know, living the dream here in the sunshine.
Okay, great. So, so what are we going to try to do again? We're going to, for those who don't know about Cohen Veterans Network, we're going to get you some more deep dive, and we want to really talk more about the community and Cohen Veterans Network, because the key about Cohen Veterans Network and resources they have is that they're normally part of the community. So first, let me turn you over to Karen. Karen is the director of Tampa Cohen Veterans Network. How you doing, Karen?
I'm well, thank you.
Can you give us some insights on some of the things that Cohen Veterans Network offers to for the community in Tampa?
Yeah, sure. So just a little background for those who don't know, the Cohen Veterans Network is a nationwide network set up by Stephen Cohen, who is a hedge fund billionaire out of New York City, whose son saw a gap in the services provided for post 9/11 veterans and their family members. So he set aside a significant amount of money to set up 25 clinics nationwide to serve post 9/11 veterans, their family members, and now the National Guard and Reserves as well. Right now, today, as a matter of fact, clinic number 16 opened up in Alaska. Today was their opening day. But here in Florida, a little closer to home than Alaska, we have two clinics that are currently up and running, one here in Tampa and one in Jacksonville. And we have General Michael Fleming with us, who is the outreach manager for the Jacksonville clinic. So Cohen Veterans Network clinics were set up to provide services for post 9/11 veterans, and probably more importantly, to break down any barriers that our veterans and their family members may encounter. We do take insurances, but if someone was uninsured or unable to meet a copay or deductible, there's funding to help get somebody into treatment if they need to be here. So cost is not a factor. Transportation, once we open up again, for in-person clinic visits, we can assist with transportation and childcare. Right now, and at any time that someone couldn't come into the office, we do provide all of our services via telehealth. So there is no reason to miss an appointment or think that if you can't get to one of our two clinics in Florida, you can't get services. We're currently serving people as far away as, I believe, Miami, maybe even the Keys right now via telehealth. So there is no geographic barrier either. We provide evidence-based treatment, which means it's a research-based treatment. Short-term meaning 8 to 12 sessions or so to target the higher level, more intense symptoms related to disorders of anxiety, depression, PTSD, traumas. We serve children and adolescents as well, so children and family discord that may be going on. We've been seeing a lot of couples lately, thanks to the stay-at-home orders. There's been a little bit of family stuff going on for a lot of people, so we have seen a spike in those referrals as well. I think that's probably a good overview of what we do right now. Most of our staff, all of our staff are military related somehow, either being veterans themselves or family members of veterans. So they get it, right? They understand where the person is coming from that's coming to us.
So, and Karen, while you're there, can you introduce who's here from your organization real quick?
From our team right now, we have Michael Fleming, who is the outreach manager at our Jacksonville clinic, and Belinda Sharp, who is the lead clinician here in Tampa.
How you doing, Belinda? My manners and my military burn is still there. I want to make sure I get a chance to talk to General Fleming out there in Jacksonville. So, sir, all due respect, please introduce yourself and give us a little bit of your background, sir. And then how did a general end up being the outreach coordinator for Cohen Veterans Network?
Well, first off, it's a real privilege. Thank you, Tony, for all the great work that you continue to do for our veterans. I really appreciate this opportunity. I had about 35 years in the military. I was both a enlisted Marine and an officer of the Marine Corps, and then about 10 years, and then about 25 years in Florida Army National Guard, and I was Assistant Adjutant General for the Florida Army National Guard. So fortunately, I've had active duty experience and also Guard and Reserve time. So really kind of have it from both the active side and also obviously been married almost 40 years. So my wife can tell you all kind of stories about military families.
We need to bring her on. Bring her on.
She's relaxing. She's had enough of me today. But no, I was very blessed to be involved with Cohen Veterans Network. They the same thing that Karen experienced with Cohen Veterans Network with Mr. Cohen has a real vision for helping veterans. And when they were looking in Northeast Florida and Jacksonville area, the Wounded Warrior Project had connected me with Jerry Altieri, who's the VP for Growth, and then wanted to kind of be shown around Jacksonville to see what was there, to see if we really would like a clinic. And the answer was obviously yes. And so we started working in fall of 2018, and then have just opened up our clinic in March of this year. And I was fortunate enough to be involved, and then just took the opportunity to be the outreach director, because what we're doing, Tony, as you know, is so important for veterans. And it really doesn't matter what your rank was or anything, is what are you willing to do for those who are currently serving? And I'm very blessed to be part of the Cohen Veterans Network team.
One of the things, whenever I hear that a person is an officer enlisted, I always say they're bilingual. So, sir, you're a bilingual as well, so you can talk both our language. One thing I do want to get to is that, you guys are, even though you're Cohen Veterans Network and they're all over the country, you guys are part of the community in each of you guys' respective area. Karen, can you talk about how you are integrating to the community in Tampa and Hillsborough?
Sure. So we've participated in a lot of activities locally, a lot of events until there were no more events, unfortunately. Thank you, COVID-19. Have a really good relationship with the local chambers of commerce and are attending the military affairs committee meetings there. And another strong partner is Wounded Warrior, who just happens to be right up the street from us as well. And then the Tampa Bay Crisis Center as well. And of course, the various VA locations and other businesses that serve our veterans and their family members.
Thank you. And General, I'm sorry, I need to do push-ups. General Flemings, and tell us how you're integrated in the Jacksonville area. And I know you know Jamaica real well because she's like a mainstay in Jacksonville.
Absolutely.
So how is Cohen Veterans Network integrated in the community in Jacksonville?
Yeah, much like what Karen described, what we feel we need to be involved with the community. As Karen had talked about before all the meetings went away, one of the things that I know in the Tampa clinic we plan to do in the Jacksonville clinic is actually be kind of a hub using our community room, and to have, because a lot of times veterans organizations are looking for good places to meet, and we're that place because we want to make sure that we're not only helping the community, but also one of the things we're trying to do is really reduce any kind of stigma that a veteran may have of seeking treatment. Because I know in a lot of our other clinics, including Tampa, what they do is you don't have to necessarily we have various classes that we teach. We have groups, all kind of different ways that we're reaching out. And someone comes there and maybe has a movie night with a family, And it also happens to be where maybe they're getting some family counseling. So we feel like that's important. In Northeast Florida, we have a lot of great organizations, and the chamber, as Karen described, we're very close with the Veterans Administration here in our area. We also have the city of Jacksonville, the Veteran Services officers there. And we have kind of 5 counties across Northeast Florida between Baker, Clay, Duval, Nassau, and St. Johns County. And we feel like we're a regional asset for them. And we're very close with Veteran Services officers in those counties, and also with Veteran Services organizations across Northeast Florida.
Thank you. That's a lot. And I do, one of the 3 things we're really concerned about in Veterans Counseling Veterans is families, suicide, and military sexual trauma. Can you guys talk about how you guys address those 3 major areas? Go ahead, Karen.
Please, Karen.
Okay, I'm sorry, can you ask that again?
Yeah, one of the 3 things that we're really concerned about Veterans Counseling Veterans is families, suicide, and military sexual trauma. Can you address any of those 3 major topics that we think are significant in our community?
Absolutely. So we're starting with families. We do treat the entire family. We provide services for the children, adolescents, spouses, anyone who a veteran identifies as a family member or caretaker to them. So we don't, look for like a bloodline relationship or anything like that. It's up to the veteran who they identify as their family member. We'll provide individual, family, couples, and kids therapies. And all of those therapies can include treatment for trauma of varieties of sources of trauma. Our evidence-based treatments are specifically targeted to address history of trauma and dealing with the resulting symptoms and poor functioning that may be related with traumatic experiences, and then help people that come to see us, sorry, I'm stumbling over that one, feel more in control of their lives and more able to put some of that trauma behind them and live more peacefully, back to a better life and better functioning for themselves and their families.
And General Fleming?
Yeah, I think Karen captured it beautifully, what we're trying to do. I think part of it, Tony, and you're very familiar, is to look at the statistics about veteran suicide just in Florida. And when you look at the veteran suicide in Florida, it's really a tragedy. If you look in the age group 18 to 34, a veteran is 3 times more likely to commit suicide than a non-veteran, which is just an amazingly bad statistic. So, and in each one of the areas, no matter the age, from 18 to whatever age is the oldest veteran we have, every one of the categories is more for veterans. The overall suicide rate, of course, it's per 100,000 is 33.6, which is the Florida veteran suicide rate. And the Florida suicide rate overall is 18.8. Any one person committing suicide is terrible. But when you look at the Florida veteran suicide rate, that is particularly the 18 to 34, which are our young soldiers, our Marines, our Coast Guardsmen, our airmen, our sailors who are getting out. And we just need to do a better job of helping them get past any kind of stigma with mental health so we can serve them.
Great. So now I've been hogging up all the questions. Now it's time for the tribe to kind of participate a little bit. So Jean, D'Amica, you got any questions for the great guests here?
I do actually. First, thank you everybody for coming, joining, and being a part of this. As always, we're trying to just get the message out, get good words out. So thank you so much for your expertise and time to be here with us. Karen, I want to jump on something you said. You said that the veteran decides who they deem family. And I found that to be interesting because one of the things that I've often said is, veterans choose not to get married for a plethora of reasons. Usually it's because we're just tired of getting married and divorced, right? So sometimes veterans have life partners, and because they're not married, oh, there we go. And because they're not married, this can stop them from getting couples counseling, marriage counseling, because they don't have that piece of paper. Are you saying that there's a more open door policy that you guys have concerning this?
Absolutely. We actually have done treatment
Wonderful.
with many significant others of veterans right here in Tampa. Like I said, the definition of who family is completely 100% in the control of the veterans that we serve.
That's incredible. And that is, I got chills hearing that. That is so important because as we know from trauma, how we left and how we come back from combat, how we come back from deployments, families sometimes don't know how to handle us. We're dealing with our own demons. And then many times veterans end up away from their families, their biological families. And then we do find families of our own, brothers and sisters in arms. And yeah, that kind of, when we're talking about the microculture of the veteran community versus the civilian, community, there's that microculture of brotherly, sisterlyhood. So that's wonderful. That's wonderful that you're able to accommodate like that. That's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important because whoever the supportive person is for that veteran is the person who's going to help them feel better, who's going to be their support person aside from us and help them to continue to improve how they're feeling and how they're functioning in their daily life. So it only makes sense to include whoever that veteran is saying is their support person.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, D'Amica?
Well, yes, first of all, I would like to say that I have been to the Jacksonville location and it is beautiful. It's calming, it's serene, it's so peaceful, and it's a wonderful place to be. A wonderful location. The color scheme, everything was perfectly planned and put out. I let General Fleming know that when I was there. I told him I definitely will be coming back. But you mentioned about different insurances. Do you have that currently on your website, or would they need to call and contact you? And do you accept current active duty soldiers?
Do you want me to take that one? I'll take that one. So we do take all of the military insurances right now. Right now they're called TRICARE, TriWest, Federal Blue Cross Blue Shield. Some of that is changing the names, but the idea behind it is still the same. And then other commercial insurances as well. So what we don't want is someone to worry that their insurance might not cover our services. It might, and it might not. And if it doesn't, then that person is not responsible for fees. They have provided us with the information. We provide them with the services.
That is great.
And if they have no insurance, it's completely covered by our contract that we have.
Wow, that is wonderful.
Sure.
Well, thank you for that. My last question is, I know that you see post 9/11, but if you do have any clients that come that's not post 9/11, do you have a referral system in progress that you can refer them to someone else, or do you still see those individuals?
So it depends. There are many pre 9/11 veterans who present with challenges that do meet the model that we provide. And then there are some, obviously, who don't. There are also some post 9/11 veterans who present with problems that are not within our scope of treatment. And our case managers in both locations are super versed in local resources and will spend as much time as necessary to get someone from, we can't provide it, but here are a bunch of people who are right in our community that are able to help you at this time. And even if that means a completely warm handoff, have the person here with us and call with them and make that referral live, we will do that. Our case managers, I have to say, I'm speaking for us anyways, we're super lucky, very energetic and very knowledgeable about local resources. So we will never say to somebody on the phone, I'm sorry, we can't serve you, kind of good luck. We will say, I'm sorry, we are not the people that are the best for you, but let us help you figure out who is.
Great. Thank you, Karen. I truly appreciate that, because sometimes, as veterans, we do meet those companies where they say, there's nothing we can do. And then we're just stuck out there. We're like, well, where's our next step? So thank you for that. I appreciate the fact that you thought about all the intricate pieces and the way that it connects.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I got to add something. You know, I see Belinda there, and I really feel bad about Belinda just sitting there. So, Belinda, can you tell us some of the cases that you kind of seen since you've been in Tampa, and also any kind of surprises when you actually started, when you opened Cohen up? Anything surprise you?
I actually get that one a lot, but I want to go back a little bit to, it's okay that I've just been sitting here and I'm okay with that. So, you know, one of the things I was thinking of is when you were asking about suicide, trauma, military, sexual trauma, those type of things. One thing I think of that I really take a lot of pride in is same day access. And I think Karen probably mentioned that when she was talking about it, but there have been several times when, you know, veterans have called in or family members have called in and they truly are needing that immediate help. And it really means a lot to me that we can provide that. We can get everything done on the spot as needed. When paperwork needs to be put aside to help someone and they can walk in the door, we're going to see them as soon as they can get here. And that means a lot to me. And I guess that is something that I wouldn't call it a surprise, but that to me just feels different than a lot of organizations where it, you know, that may not have that opportunity to go from phone call as a referral to get that intake done, to get in on the spot. And there's just been plenty of times we can do that, whether it's been through telehealth or whether they walk in the door. It doesn't really matter. We're going to take care of them for whatever they need and set them up with resources. And that just really means a lot to me to be able to do that, to continue helping the community.
Okay, anybody else in the tribe got any questions to ask? Or if not, we can see if you guys got any, if Cohen's going to have any kind of comments when they, I do, before we leave, Flemings, I do want you to talk a little bit about Firebase. Because I'm really looking, hopefully we can do something like that down here in Tampa.
Okay.
I just wanted to say thank you, Belinda, because you're right. Many of the companies and organizations I've gone to, and even some of my fellow veterans, the turnaround period, it can be weeks. And we all know that we have situations that need to be addressed immediately. So I truly appreciate that you have such a quick turnaround, because there's a sincere need, immediate need, as opposed to weeks from today. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Yep. Tony, if I could also talk about one of the other advantages of having two clinics in Florida is obviously we're trying to collaborate a lot and do different things. One of the things we've done, we've created a telehealth program specifically for the Florida National Guard, both the Florida Army National Guard and the Florida Air National Guard. Having served in the Florida National Guard, I'm very familiar with the challenges because both in the National Guard and Reserve systems, unless you're in some kind of duty status, you don't have access to TRICARE or any of the other benefits that active duty personnel have. And everybody signs up, they understand that. But when someone comes back from a deployment, they do great things, and then the community embraces them. But eventually they come back and they're working wherever they're working. And sometimes they look around and they says, you know, I don't have that camaraderie that I had when I was deployed. And so one of the things that we bring to the table is really a cultural competency. The only people we see are either veterans, National Guard personnel, reservists, or families, military families, active duty military families. So our cultural competency from a military aspect is off the scale. So that's specifically what we do. And so we saw a need, we worked closely, both of our clinics worked very closely with the Florida National Guard. In the middle of December, we kicked that off, and we've advertised it, and because we really feel like it's important. You see, and both the National Guard and Reserve have unique duties. As most of you will know, the COVID-19, the Florida National Guard has mobilized almost 2,500 airmen and soldiers as part of that response. And so that's not something anybody, 3 months ago even expected. And so we're there for not only for the individual guardsmen, for their families. And then again, that's the advantage in Florida of having two great Cohen Veterans Network clinics, is that we work together. And it's really relevant whether Liz Shear, who's our clinic director, gets a call, or if down in Karen in Tampa, we're one team here in Florida. And so we're very proud that we can offer some unique telehealth opportunities for the Florida National Guard, because particularly when you get into kind of the Panhandle area, there may not be many mental health clinicians with a military background or understand the military. We want to be there for our guardsmen.
Yeah, I think
one thing General Fleming's speaking just reminded me, a point that we did not bring up yet, is that veteran to us can be honorable or dishonorable discharge, less than honorable discharge. And it doesn't matter how long someone wore the uniform. It could be one day in boot camp, and then they left. We will still see them. For us, they are a veteran and they are someone that we would absolutely love to serve.
Yes, I appreciate that. And about, in fact, I've been about 4 or 5 of the Cohen networks already. I've been to Philly, New York, and Carolinas and stuff. So it's really great. I just, something like this, I think is, you can't have enough of us. I mean, people are trying to sit there and try to monopolize. This is something that the more there are, the better. And I really appreciate that for the Cohen side. If I'm a family member, how do I do it? How do I contact you? What's the role if I'm a family member and I want to get some counseling or whatever?
Oh, all you got to say is that you're a family member of a veteran.
Yep.
Tell us, who they are, what their role was in the military, and then come right on in. We would love to work with you.
Yep. Just give us a call.
And just to add what Karen's saying, this is not a referral system where you have to go through something. You call our clinic directly and you get the appointment. And we, as Karen has talked about, we have office manager, we have receptionist, we have a specific plan for that individual when he or she calls. Most people who call are not in crisis, but if someone was in crisis, we have a plan for that. But we really like being a direct provider. And we really don't have to have a referral from anybody. We want people calling our clinics and really getting involved, when they need that assistance.
Yeah, I think I see Rocky here. Let me see if I can unmute him. Hey, Rocky, is that you, man?
Yeah, you had me on mute. But I'm here.
I wanted to see how they would react without you guiding them, man. What's going on?
I'm telling you, getting in, the internet's bad, and I dialed in a couple of times and I was on mute. I couldn't say anything. You had me at parade rest.
Right?
That's my fault. That's my fault. I'll take responsibility for that. Doing the mic check too much.
He's used to it at this house. He knows how it's being muted. But Rocky, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick.
Listen, first of all, good evening to everyone, and I hope everyone's doing well during this crisis. And I really want to thank you, Tony, you and your team, Veterans Counseling Veterans, for having us, and also all your support. I know you're a big fan, not only of CVN, but all veterans. So my name is Rafael Rivera. I go by Rocky. I'm a retired U.S. Army Master Sergeant. I'm the Director of Outreach for the Cohen Military Family Clinic at Aspire Health Partners here in Tampa. So some of my responsibilities are to make sure that the referral of clients to the Cohen Clinic throughout outreach continues, and we really, really appreciate that you're having us. And I've got a lot of passion for this job. Karen's our high-speed director. Belinda's our lead clinician. They're doing a great job, and working also collaborating with Mike, General Fleming. Jacksonville has been a great opportunity, and it's a great venture. So again, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Boy, that's pretty good, Rocky. Can we say kisser? I mean, no, I agree. I agree with you saying. Yeah, he just came on later on thick. But yeah, you're right. You're right, Rocky. And I know I appreciate you. I know you got to keep traveling back and forth from way up there and kissing me and stuff. So I know you're a dedicated soldier taking care of our families as well. Gene, you had mentioned that we got some questions on Facebook.
Yep, we sure do. And hey, Rocky. Sorry to mute you, man.
Hello.
Okay. So we do have some, first of all, I want to point out to everybody watching on Facebook Live the website's right there in the comments. Scroll down, find it. We're trying, as they throw out some really good nuggets, like the insurances they accept, trying to throw them in the comments. So if you have questions, scroll on through the comments. Hopefully you'll find those answers. One of the questions is, when are the doors of the Cohen clinics going to reopen?
I saw that question, as a matter of fact. We actually in Tampa, our staff has been back in the office for a couple of weeks. working on kind of a re-entry plan for our clients. And we are doing a phase in of the return for clients to our clinic, actually starting this week. So we're working on, we had some clients who decided to put treatment on hold during this time that we were closed. So we're prioritizing those clients this week and some brand new ones. Then we'll move on to our regular clients who were here at the clinic before, and then the brand new clients that we were able to welcome into our clinic during our stay-at-home time. So we are phasing in over the next 3 weeks or so, but right now, new clients that would like to come in person are welcome to do so.
Great, thanks so much for that. And I even put that in the comments that you guys are starting to slowly open up, and so then they should go to the website and maybe call you guys for details. Like you said, there's an office manager. Another comment that was made by one of our tribe members, Lynn. Hi, Lynn. I work with many that need to upgrade discharges, and many can't get mental health except for MST from the vet center. So this is another great, thanks Lynn for bringing that up. The fact that you look at all forms of discharge. I personally know some women who were discharged for conscientious objective. They became pregnant and they had the difficulty or impossibility, because again, sometimes when we start to go through trauma, our family's distance from us. Now we're trying to start a family, and the military says if you can't basically legally hand over your kid, you have to get out. And that's a hard pill for a woman to swallow. So many women I've personally been aware of who end up with a less than honorable discharge. And it's not fair and it's not right. I'm sure we'd all agree. So these women who maybe have other issues going on from combat trauma or otherwise are getting less than an honorable discharge, which means they don't get these services. So important, so very important what you guys are doing.
Gene, if I could comment also a little bit. Our clinic has not physically opened our doors in Jacksonville, but we're moving toward that. And so as Karen has outlined, we're still taking new clients. You just call our clinic telephone number. I've given the the web address to Tony. He'll send that to everybody. But one of the things you talked about with our female veterans, 28% of our clients are female veterans. And so it's about 14%, I think it's females in the military. And so we're almost double that with our female veterans. We also have, for our female veterans, many of our clinics have groups of specifically female veterans. We have different types of groups, but we have specifically for that. And we have a tremendous program for female veterans. We understand the trauma they may have been through. And as Karen has outlined, the type of discharge is irrelevant. We want to be able to serve our veterans, and particularly our female veterans, when they need assistance.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions? Any more questions? I know we're getting close to that time. I want to make sure before we sign off that General Fleming's talk about, I don't know if you remember, fire base and also the Christian. I want what you guys are doing with those two, if you can.
Okay, thanks, Tony. We have in Northeast Florida, we have something called the Fire Watch.
Fire Watch.
And the Fire Watch, we have Canines for Warriors is headquartered in our area. And Rory Diamond is the CEO, and he'd seen that a lot of veterans were having challenges with suicide. And a lot of the great organizations are working to prevent veteran suicide. But as you may know, at least in Northeast Florida, only 30% of veterans are enrolled with the VA as far as for healthcare. And so what were communities doing for that to help that? And so all 5 counties across the Northeast Florida got together, and we have the Fire Watch, and it's thefirewatch.org. And we want to do 2 things. One, we want to address veterans in crisis. When a veteran's in crisis, how do we react as a community? And we have SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration, is coming to Jacksonville to help our first responders, our hospitals all work together better. And then we're also creating something called a watchstander. You know, in the military, when you stand watch, you're awake while others are sleeping or resting. And we want to have 10,000 people standing watch, both veterans and what we call veterans champions, which are people who are not in the military but want to support veterans. And so we're trying to be creative in that. And then one of the things we've also done, as an example, we have we had a faith leader webinar because we feel like our faith leaders are on the front line with our veterans, because almost no veterans go to a church service on an active duty military installation. Veterans are in their communities and they're going to their church, their mosque, their synagogue. And we really feel like that the faith leaders, we haven't armed them very well with information. And so we have faith leader webinars. And so we're trying to do what we can. This integrates beautifully into what Cohen Veterans Network is doing. I mean, this is as we talked about statistics earlier about veteran suicide, it's tragic. And our teams, both in Tampa and in Jacksonville, are working 100%. I know Karen and Rock are very much involved in their community. The Fire Watch is, though, something that we're doing specifically in Northeast Florida to reduce or eliminate veteran suicide.
Thanks, John. I appreciate that. And I got Rocky down here. Whenever I had SDO, which is our watch thing, Rocky would be the one staying awake, and I'd be the one sleeping. So I just want to clarify that. I didn't stay awake the whole night. But anyway, we're getting, so I want to give you guys the opportunity to go around the horn before we close out. What I normally do is after we finish, we sign you guys out, then the tribe kind of talks a little bit, about what we just heard and stuff, and that's how we close out. So if you guys have anything you want to add, you may have forgotten, please, here's your time.
Yeah, Tony, this is Rocky. I wanted to add something real quick. If you go to renewalcoalition.org, that's an organization that I've been working since I retired in 2010, and they provide veterans, even active duty and family members, a 5-day retreat in Jupiter, Florida. And if anyone wants to be part of that, you can email me or get a hold of me, and I'll be glad to put you in contact with Mary Hinton, the director. Okay. Thank you.
Karen?
I don't have anything additional except to thank you all for inviting us to be part of this podcast. We would love to provide any additional information anybody needs, but give us a call if anyone needs treatment.
Sir?
Yeah, I just echo what Karen said. We are the Cohen Veterans Network team in Tampa and Jacksonville are working together all the time. And, even if someone just wants to call and find out some information, as Karen has outlined, we have tremendous case managers at both clinics, and they can help connected service, because maybe we're not specifically the answer, but we are very much connected with the resources both in Tampa and in Northeast Florida. And so, we love to talk to people. The reason we exist is because we believe strongly that veterans and military families really need different and new mental health resources. We work very closely with the VA, so we're not in competition. But Tony, I think as you said earlier, the more the better. We can't have enough mental health services. And we appreciate the great work you're doing. And we look forward to serving the veterans and military families in Florida.
Gene, you say we had a question, Gene, from the Facebook?
Yeah, yes, just one more question out there. So other mental health providers, veteran military mental health providers that are watching this are probably saying, how do I get involved with this amazing organization? How do I connect with you folks? Are you guys interested in adding veteran counselors onto your resources? Is there a hiring process?
Yes, and yes would be my answers to that. There is a hiring process. We post our jobs on the Cohen Veterans Network website, as well as Aspire Health Partners, who is the Florida agency that is our partner organization in Tampa for the Tampa Clinic. And for Jacksonville, the partner organization is Centerstone. But all of our jobs are also on the Cohen Veterans Network website. And also, we would love to partner with other organizations or other counselors in our communities who have not partnered with us yet to provide ongoing and supportive treatment to the clients that we have done treatment with, who now just need kind of some support ongoing out in the community.
Excellent, wonderful, great information. So any of you watching out there, if you're an intern, if you're getting ready to graduate, if you're thinking about going to school, use that GI Bill, right? And you're going to think about being a counselor. Look at this. There's a great opportunity out here for you folks. Just if you're not a counselor today, but you plan on being one in the next few years, these folks aren't going anywhere. Help them build such a great, amazing, supportive program for our brothers and sisters. Thank you so much, guys.
Yes, I appreciate it. And just one quick thing for General Fleming. Your director, I looked at her profile on LinkedIn. It looks like we were in 504th Navigate together at Fort Hood. So
How about
small
that?
world, right? So just thought I'd throw
Yeah.
that out there.
Yeah, our clinic director, Liz Shear, is really unique. She's a retired Army officer, was a signal officer, and went into mental health. She's married to an active duty major, and her son's in the Army. So
Wow.
she is a soldier, she's a military mother, and a military spouse all rolled into one. So she's got, no matter what you've experienced, Liz is there and understands it.
Great. I hope to go out there and visit you guys when this COVID thing goes away. So, okay, well, that pretty much wraps it up here in our spotlight for Cohen Veterans Network. Again, they're a great resource out there for families and also for, we had mentioned resources out there in Tampa. Can you give us your address again? I got the website, but you know your address? I know.
For Tampa, it's
Yes, one for Tampa.
Tampa is 4520 Oak Fair Boulevard. We are directly across from the Florida Fairgrounds.
Okay, General Flemings.
It's 7011 AC Skinner Parkway, and we are about a stone's throw from the Wounded Warrior Project headquarters in Jacksonville. So if you can find the Wounded Warrior Project, go 200 yards east, and there we are.
Great. Glad you guys had you guys aboard. Hopefully we'll talk again. It's great to have allies out there taking care of our veterans and their families. Thanks again for Cohen Veterans Network from Jacksonville and out of Tampa. Now it's time for the tribe to talk.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
So, tribe, what are your thoughts? What are your takeaways? You can start, Gene. You know,
I'm flabbergasted, and that's rare for me. I've got something to say, right? I'm just so flabbergasted. Like, this is amazing. What an amazing thing we have here in Florida. Wow. I mean, they'll take all the veterans. 28% of the female veteran population. I cannot, any statisticians out there, you know, you're talking about the Chrome Box Alpha for a minute, like that is amazing. Like anybody getting ready to do a dissertation and you want to talk about the female veterans, that went in my head like, whoo, need to talk to these folks. Talk about grabbing at a minority of a minority of a minority in a microculture. You know, half the time we can't find the female veterans because not all of them go to the VA. We have different discharges. That being said, like all of these veterans who feel like, well, I didn't serve enough on my DD 214 to get the GI Bill, or I didn't serve enough for this, or I didn't serve enough for that. Like, but you signed up, you volunteered for this amazing country, and you deserve something. And so it's amazing that they recognize that, you know, and one veteran helps another. We really do. We take care of each other. And if we can get the ones who really need it in, they're going to help the next person. Just an amazing program they've got going on.
How about you, D'Amica?
Yes.
What's your thoughts? What are your takeaways?
Well, you know, I work with Cohen, some other projects, and it's great. I love the fact of their turnaround period because, you know, as a veteran, it can take weeks before you actually get to see a counselor, talk to someone, and there's some immediate needs that need to be addressed. So I love the fact they have a turnaround period and the fact that you can talk to someone directly and you don't have to wait and go through this very long waiting period. Because I don't know about everyone else, but I get tired of sitting on that phone for about 20 to 45 minutes waiting just to go through an automated system. And the fact that you can talk to someone directly, I love it. As you were saying, Jean, I love the fact that it doesn't matter of the discharge because so many women and men have been turned away because of their discharge and they need the same services. So I love the organization. I love all the programs that they have in place. I love that they don't turn anyone away and they have a referral system in place to just say, you know what, we won't turn you away. We can't meet the need, but here's who could possibly meet that need. So I encourage all veterans, family members, please reach out to them. You're not in this alone. They are there. Utilize them. Wonderful organization.
It's good to hear that. And we have that kind of resource that's available to us, and we need so much. We just can't. One agency, one person, one whatever cannot do it all. We need a collaboration, and that's great that we have it out there. hopefully in Jacksonville and in Tampa. Okay, well, it's great again for you guys trying to being out here and getting a chance to meet another organization out there helping us out and talking to the thing. So I really appreciate you guys being out here. I love the palm trees bending over there and Jean's background. It's so soothing.
I wish this was my backyard.
And Danica's there with a grandkid.
I'm with you.
I kept expecting her grandkid. You know how it is when you're on these face things, the grandkids come back or something. So they're well trained.
Come in a little bit. I've kind of been, like.
Well, thank you guys very much. And next week, now, and I know I threw it on Jean, but Jean, next week, I know she said I surprised her, but we're gonna do an episode just on women veterans who are in mental health. And so,
so let me jump on that. Any women veterans who are watching this, our goal for next week is to let's meet with some women veterans who are fighting the good fight, who are finding their ways through it thick and thin. What have you done to help yourself to, if you're a professional, we definitely want to hear from you. Please reach out to us. We'd love to have you next week. Definitely, if you're a professional homemaker, if you're a professional mom, a professional wife, a professional CEO, whatever, what can you share with your fellow female veterans about your journey, your sacrifice, your struggle, and what you do to get through it all? Let's come together and let's talk to the sisters for a minute. So please reach out to us. Love to talk to you, and let's get you on next week.
Yeah, but that's your show, Jean, and so we want to have interns on there. We want to see how from cradle to grave, right? When we first got out of the military and we're trying to sit there and navigate to the master's program, and then we become registered interns. We want to hear all that is and what things we can do later on to help with people at networking, collaborating, or mentoring. So that'll be exciting out there. Be exciting to see that next week.
Yeah, we definitely want to focus on, especially if you're a counselor, if you're a veteran and you're a counselor, or you've just started, or did you just fill out the application to go to school? Are you starting with your associates? Are you thinking about it? Are you fully licensed? Are you in a doctorate program? I mean, we really, like Tony said, want to work on the cradle to grave on how it's doable. It's hard, but it's doable. Anything that's worth it, wasn't easy, right? Joining the military wasn't that easy. Basic training, unless you're in the Air Force, wasn't easy, right? I was in the Air Force. Basic training's hard-ish. We can't always have dessert.
I want to get a shout out to Bruce Thompson for sharing our events. I really, that's important. So Bruce, I want to give a shout out to Bruce. Every Monday, Larry Roberts has a thing about buddy checks. So make sure you do a buddy check for all of us around here. Facebook, however, making sure that our veterans and their families are okay. So I want to give a shout out to Larry. Finally, I want to say something. I feel like I'm obligated as a leader and of an organization to talk about not too long about what's going on with this racial riot and all this stuff going on here. I think that for me, from Veterans Council and Veterans point of view, that I do think that lumping everybody together is not helpful and not constructive. So making it broad, I don't like it as African American for somebody to say African American. So I don't think anybody likes it when you paint a big broad brush on one or two people. And I also don't think it's helpful and fair to paint a whole profession on something. My wife's a retired police officer, and I always worry when she came home, did she get home safe and stuff. There are, I would say 99% of the police force and first responders are doing their job in spite of the stuff that you got to face. So I just think it's not helpful having a big broad brush and painting everybody with it, and it's not helpful to paint a whole profession with that as what's going on. Aside from that, I support protesters and stuff like that, but I just think we got to be safe, right? We got to be safe. Are you guys safe in Jacksonville? We just got to be safe,
Well, they're doing some protesting, and there was a little rioting the other day. However, there is a curfew now. So,
okay. Yeah.
I just say we can protest peacefully.
Yes, we just got to do it peacefully. Listen to each other. It's really difficult to hear anybody if both of you guys are shouting at each other. And this is a tough thing. This is a tough topic. But again, it doesn't help if you overgeneralize and you just put down a whole profession. It just doesn't help. You guys want to add anything before we take off and I can, and call it a night?
I'll just jump on there for a minute and say, listen, we're all veterans here, especially in these groups. Like, we all support and defend the Constitution, and the First and Second Amendment are the most important. You know, it's the reason it's number one. So things change because people step up and say, we won't deal with this any longer. You know, I mean, through history, boring people do not make history, right? But there's a right and a wrong way to do it. You know,
Exactly.
so get out there, get your voice heard. But if like you said, everybody's shouting, we're always talking about trauma. If you're shouting, if you've watched other podcasts, we talk about that saber-toothed tiger, your higher reasoning and your higher functioning is no longer happening. So nobody's listening, and you're probably not communicating very well either. So tone it down, you know, protest, make your signs, you know, shout it from the rooftops, but let's not hurt each other.
We heard so.
I
D'Amica?
concur. I
D'Amica, you wanna
concur
say?
with everything. I concur with everything that you both said.
So, all right. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for being here again. Be safe, and I see you guys next week. Veterans
See you
Council.
next week. Be
Cool.
safe.
Okay, guys. Back. This is our time. We're finished. You know, how you think it went? How did it go?
Great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. But I knew they were a wonderful organization anyway.
I feel embarrassed. I had
But
no
I'm glad-
idea.
Yeah.
I mean, literally 5 minutes before, I'm like, I have no idea what we're doing tonight, but whatever, I'm just going to wing it. I'm like, oh my God, these people are amazing.
Yes.
They are great.
Yeah, she can wing it. So, I want to talk about later on, not now, but I want to talk about us maybe doing something for PTSD Awareness Month, one of our episodes. I do, and D'Amica, may you or somebody, I do want to have a family member, because it's got to be a family thing too, not just a veteran and how they're dealing. I want to have if you guys know anybody out there who's a family member who can go out there and kind of articulate what are they going through when they have a veteran who's suffering from PTSD or whatever. So I want to bring up, if you guys can think of somebody, know somebody who can bring up.
Well, I can ask, because you know I'm a part of a military sorority and fraternity anyway, so I'll reach out to them tonight and see if they have a family member who's willing.
Okay, we'll look for it on the third week, because we got the 8th. The 8th we're going to be doing women veterans and mental health. And so I think the 15th is open right now. So let's look at the 15th. And you know, I got a limited bandwidth, so we can't have as many people on. But you know, a 6 or if it's so, and we'll look at it. So I want us to talk about it. Gene, we have our operations. If you hopefully will be there on Wednesday.
So it's going to be flaky for me for the next couple days. I'm about to get real personal here. So you saw in the group message thing, like I start my next shot. I'm on hormones for in vitro fertilization, and we've